Hello, welcome to The Update. I'm Abby Smith. Around 500,000 people with a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card will be given relief on their energy bills starting from the start of July. Up to $500 will be provided per household as part of a deal struck between the state and federal governments. Federal Social Services Minister Amanda Rishworth says it's about helping older Australians deal with the rising cost of living.
This is a really significant help when we know that the cost of energy is significant for many people.
Doctors will no longer be able to prescribe medications to patients they haven't spoken to. Tighter rules are being introduced this week to restrict health professionals from offering prescriptions online without patients providing their identity or ensuring they need the medication. Western Australia's outgoing Premier is being acknowledged by all sides of politics as an outstanding leader. Mark McGowan has announced he'll step down from politics by the end of the week. Premier Dan Andrews in Victoria among those to pay tribute to the WA Labor leader. Soldiers have been banned from drinking alcohol while on deployment. A link has been established between alcohol and a culture which allowed war crimes to be committed and covered up in Afghanistan. Overseas, and the head of Ukraine's military intelligence has warned of a swift response to the latest airstrikes by Russia. Moscow has launched a daytime missile strike on the capital of Kyiv following 2 nights of heavy drone strikes. Qantas is farewelling the first Boeing 717 ever to fly in Australia. Chief Executive Alan Joyce says it's being replaced by a more efficient A220.
It's a game-changing aircraft because it allows us to do some of the longest routes in the world. Perth to London, Melbourne to Dallas, Sydney to Dallas.
And Olympic sprinter Matt Shirvington is set to replace David Koch on Channel 7's Sunrise. It follows the Port Adelaide chairman's decision to step down from his role. Shirvington has been seen on the network since 2021. Entertainment and sport next. Interim North Melbourne coach Brett Ratton doesn't have a timeline on when Alistair Clarkson will return to Arden Street. The Roos coach is taking time away from the game as the Hawthorn racism investigation continues. Ratton telling Fox Footy he's had limited communication with Clarkson.
I've got no indication of when he will return. I've texted Al a few times, or once, and then he replied, and then before each game he's just sending a message of support and that.
Meantime, Dockers teenager Jai Amiss is this week's AFL Rising Star after playing a starring role in Saturday's win over the Demons. The 19-year-old, with only 13 AFL games under his belt, leads Fremantle's goal-kicking for the season. Latrell Mitchell is set to miss the opening State of Origin game in Adelaide. The South Sydney superstar told teammates he wouldn't take to the field just hours before the Blues were due to fly into Adelaide due to a calf injury. New South Wales go head-to-head with Queensland tomorrow night at Adelaide Oval. And Alex de Minaur has joined fellow Australians Thanasi Kokkinakis, Jason Kubler and Storm Hunter in the second round of the French Open. The news was not so good for compatriots Chris O'Connell and Alexei Popyrin, who lost their first round matches last night. In entertainment news, King Charles has paid tribute to the late Tina Turner in a uniquely royal way. The King allowed the band of the Welsh Guards to perform The Best during the changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace. Matt Healy is leaving some blank space about his rumoured relationship with Taylor Swift. The 1975 singer keeping coy on the BBC's Radio 1 Big Weekend show, refusing to answer any questions on the romance just yet. And the critics have praised the final episode of Succession, calling it perfect, beautiful and brutal. The Emmy Award-winning show has wrapped after 4 seasons, one critic comparing it with the writing of William Shakespeare's King Lear and Macbeth. And that's the latest from the Nova podcast team. We'll see you this afternoon for another episode of The Update.